This is 91.1 The Avenue. I'm Amanda Sharon, joined now by singer-songwriter Allana Royale. Allana, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I think this is my first Wisconsin radio appearance.
Oh, absolutely. And we're getting together today because you have a show coming up on Wednesday at the Gather on Broadway Farmers Market Series, downtown Green Bay in the Broadway district. It's sponsored by Nicolay Bank, a supporting partner of The Avenue. And what can folks expect for the show on Wednesday?
Well, I'm really excited because I have not been to Wisconsin in a minute. I think it's been like a year and a half, 2 years maybe since I've been there. And everyone in Wisconsin is so nice. And I probably get more DMs from people in Wisconsin than anywhere else in the world. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? Between Milwaukee and Appleton, doing my music up there. So I just look forward to being in Wisconsin in general because the people are so kind. And here's my only thing though. I'm vegan, so when I go to Wisconsin, I'm missing out on a particular export. So I'm going to task the people of Wisconsin to find me an ooey gooey, delicious, cheesy, salty, vegan cheese curd. This is what I'm asking for. It's not much.
Yeah, right. It sounds good. That actually does sound good. I mean, anything cheese, even if it's vegan cheese, I think we'd like it.
Yes, please.
So, you're based in Nashville, right?
Yes, I am.
And how long have you been in Nashville?
I've been here, I like to say I've been here long enough to complain, 10 years. Once you've lived somewhere for 10 years, that's where you can say you're from there. So I've put in my time and I've been here for a long while. And so it definitely very much feels like home.
And your band is based in Nashville as well.
Yes, I have some people who live in other parts of the country, in LA, New York, that I'll pick up and tour with when we sub out if things are going on. My bass player, Gabriel, that I've been playing with since the inception of my career, just had his third child. So he's been tagging out on the road a little bit here and there because him and his wife have 3 children at home now. He's got to be there for baby time.
Right, exactly. So, for our listeners who may not have heard you play before or seen you play before, how would you describe your music to them or your stage presence, your live shows?
So I like to say that Allana Royale makes music. It's music to make you feel. And so, as human beings, we have a very wide spectrum of emotions. And I think it's really important to explore all of that spectrum in its entirety. And I have some songs that will make I have a song that I put out 2 years ago that I played it for my uncle in a basement Airbnb in Maryland. He met up with me while I was on the road and we were eating takeout. And I said, let me play you this song. And I played it for him. And he had tears in his eyes. And he said, I feel like I'm in my car with my first girlfriend as a teenager. I'm having these like memories of like my youth because this song, it was like very traditional, like 70s soul, strings and horns. And then, a single I just put out a couple weeks ago, I was like, this is like my homage to like 90s R&B and the music that I grew up with, Mariah and Whitney and SWV and all that. And it makes you feel like it's summertime and it sparks a memory of something else like joy and sunshine. And so I think I think you can expect to be taken on a emotional joyride.
Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds amazing. I'm in. So give us a little background on your musical career. What led you to this path? How did you end up in Nashville?
Man, let's see. I think the craziest thing about my journey is that it wasn't supposed to be here at all. Like every turn I took 10 years ago brought me to this place and I didn't intend to be here at all. I was leaving. I'm from Boston. I grew up. I was going to move to LA. I was like very sure I was going to move to LA. And right before I moved, I wanted to move out there. I came to Nashville on a trip with my college, and I had never been in a place like Nashville before. I mean, this is like 12 years ago, Nashville. So like the hotels, the scene, like all this stuff was not here. It was like, in my mind, very desolate and very underdeveloped. And it was just quiet. And there were these pockets of like garage rock acts, indie acts, freaky like little things in the art scene going on. And I came to down here and I was like, I've never seen anything like this. I've never been anywhere like this. I grew up, my mom's from New York. I grew up in Boston. And it's like, I want to live here instead of LA. I don't know why. It was something just called to me. And my mom was like, she told me, you will be back in 3 months. You are not going to live in Tennessee. There's no way that my daughter is going to live in Tennessee. There's just no way. And then I moved down here and I wanted to work in the music industry on the back end in like administrative work. I wanted to help artists make money and I wanted to work in like artist rights, PROs, things like this. And so I took my little college degree and I went from place to place and I tried to get admin work and I tried to get just like any data entry job and no one would hire me. So I started working at this restaurant. And one of the first people I met in Nashville working at this restaurant was a man named Mike Grimes, who owns The Basement, Basement East, Grimey's, one of the most iconic record stores in America. He was one of the first people I ever met. And that meeting really changed the course of my life because he was like, oh, you're a singer, but you're not singing. When are you going to come play my club? And I waited a couple months and I played his club. And a year later, I played Bonnaroo, and then the companies that wouldn't hire me to do admin started booking me to play festivals, Austin City Limits. And then I was like, oh gosh, here I am. It's just like, it's just meant to be. Everything has just happened the way it's meant to be. But it has been hard. It has not been easy, but it has been the way I think it was supposed to go.
Right. Wow, that is so crazy. Like you said, just meant to be. No matter what you did, it was going to happen this way. Wow. So you just put out a new single and it's called The Other Side. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah. So I have a new record coming out October 6th called Trouble Is. And this is the second single off the record. And this is the first time, I've definitely delved into darker themes in my music before, but this record is the first time where I'm really kind of made a very strong effort to open up more than just like singing and being a good singer and putting on a good live show. I was like, I want to really like write the best music I can write. I want to like go deeper in that way. And the only way I could really do that was to be really honest, and which I thought would be easy and actually turned out to be really hard to break myself open and tell like a really honest story. And the other side was kind of like the beginning of that. It was like, the other side is a deep dive into what it means to love someone who cannot help themselves, and you kind of get wrapped back into their life. They say when someone's drowning, if you don't dive in straight after someone who's drowning, they might take you down with them. And when you love someone who is in the throes of addiction, that is a glaringly true metaphor. And I have loved many people who have struggled with addiction. And over the years, through intensive therapy, shout out to my therapist, you're amazing. I have learned how to love people from afar who need help for themselves, how to help them while not sacrificing the quality of my own life. And that's really what The Other Side is about.
Wow. So tell me about the making of the new album, the recording process and what went into it.
Yeah, so it was kind of an insane adventure because I had started this record in 2019. I flew my whole band out to California to my producer's studio, did the whole thing, put us up, and we started working on it. And we spent a week and we were supposed to come home with a lot of work done. And it just like wasn't happening. And I felt so defeated and terrible. And I realized that there were some pretty significant changes I needed to make as a whole, as an artist, as like the leader of the band, what was going on, who was playing on the record, what was happening. And I was like, I scrapped the whole thing. And I was like, we're going to start it over again. So in 2019, started this record, scrapped it. Then in January 2020, we started the record over again, clean slate. And I was like, this is my year, January 2020. The sessions went so well. Everything was amazing. And I was like, wow, all the difficult decisions I had to make, I felt instantly, I was like, it was for the right reasons. It was for the benefit of the whole. In January 2020, we knocked out a ton of work and it was amazing. And I was like, yeah, this is it.
And then we know what comes next, right?
Yeah, we all know what comes next, man. I always tell people I'm not always wrong, but when I am wrong, boy, boy, do I step in it. And I was really wrong. January 2020 was not the most productive year of my life in making a record, but I will say it was through all the extreme trials and tribulations. January 2020 led me to a revelatory year of my life. And so my producer was in California and he said, hey, if you can get here to San Francisco, I'll keep working on the record with you. Like, we're not going anywhere. We're not doing anything. Me and you can hunker down and basically be our own little pod and be in the studio. And so I packed up my car and my dog and I drove from Nashville to San Francisco across the country in the first year of the pandemic. And I like didn't go inside like anywhere. I had to like pick up groceries along the way on the curb. I stayed in Airbnbs, you know, no contact with anyone. Got to San Francisco and Kelly, my producer, was like the first person that I like really saw. And then we spent an intense amount of time together because that was all we could do. And together we made this record in this weird, like, we both wore masks the whole time in the studio, even though we were the only people there because we just didn't know and we were trying to be as safe as possible. I'm singing on a microphone. Eventually, horn players came in. They stayed in one room. Their air is blowing out everywhere. It was such an insane experience. I had like no money. I was living off of like whatever I had. I didn't really have an income at that point. And so through everything, I made a record telling the troubles of my life through one of the most distressing periods in like modern history. So the record is a direct reflection of everything that was going on in my head, and I think everyone else's head collectively as well.
Right. Wow. That's crazy. And I hear that you also have a new video out. You were telling me a little bit about it, and it sounds super cool. So I'd love our listeners to hear about it and check it out.
Yeah, so the first single off this record is called Run Around, and it's a brief moment of levity on our record. It's a very happy, peppy, joyous song, but really lyrically, the lyrics are about fighting against what everyone else is putting in your ear when you have a gut feeling about something, you know, like this song really is about a time in my life where I was hanging out with this guy and I was just getting like this feeling that I had never felt in my life before from another human being. I was just like over the moon and I felt it so strongly. And my roommate at the time was like, I don't think this guy is really into you. I think you're kind of cruising for a bruising a little bit. I think they're very much giving you friend vibes and that you're picking up on something else. And everyone said, like, I don't think this is like what you think it is. And I was like, no, I feel like in my gut, I know for sure. And it was very difficult because every time I hung out with them, I was starting to get in my head, what is going on? And guess what? They were all wrong. And I was right. And I felt really conflicted. And the song is a super happy song, but it really is ultimately about like tuning out the voices of other people, your family, your friends, the internet, society as a whole, to go with your gut, chase a feeling. And even if it goes, you know, belly up in the end, you have to chase down your own feelings. You have to explore those things. Sometimes we're just going to make mistakes. You know, I have a friend who told me one time, I know you think that I don't listen to you. I know that you tell me like, hey, this is like not a good idea. And I know you think I don't hear you, but I'm the type of person that if you tell me the stove is hot, I gotta feel it for myself to know that it's hot. I gotta get burned a little bit. And that's just how I'm gonna learn and go through it. And that's kind of what this song is about, is like feeling it out for yourself. And if it ends up, you know, a disaster in the end, oh, well, at least you followed your own heart.
I think that's sort of a theme that a lot of people can relate to as well. You know, I mean, you got to learn your own lessons for sure.
You gotta learn your own lessons. So the song is really joyous and peppy. It is kind of like a tougher song, but it is encouraging in the end. And it sounds just like a memory of something of my childhood. So we filmed it in a roller rink, and I wore a custom airbrush outfit that was airbrushed by this incredible artist in Baltimore. And we threw a party at the roller rink, and it was so much fun. My 65-year-old neighbor came out and danced on the roller rink with us. We just had a blast.
Wow, it sounds so cool. I can't wait to see it. So, after the show at Gather on Wednesday, I think you're headed down to Wicker Park in Illinois. What else is on the horizon for you? More recording, touring? What are you headed for?
Yeah, so basically we're getting ready for this record. So we're doing Green Bay and then Wicker Park Fest in Chicago and then a couple things that are in the works that I can't necessarily speak on yet. I've got another single coming out at the end of the summer as well. And then my record comes out October 6th, and that's all I can really say about it right now. But I will be traveling a lot from now until the end of the year. And then 2024, already lots of big things coming up in 2024, which I'm really excited about. So just catch me on the road, watch me on the internet, and buy some merch, buy a record, buy a t-shirt.
Awesome. Allana, thanks so much for joining me today here on 91.1 The Avenue.
Thank you so much for having me. I cannot wait to see everyone.
Absolutely. Allana Royale will be at Gather on Broadway Farmers Market Series on Wednesday, downtown Green Bay in the Broadway District, sponsored by Nicolay Bank, a supporting partner of The Avenue.